I've seen that a lot, actually, or a parent that pushes their kids so hard, and then, the second they go to college, they quit sports.
But I believe the great is still yet to come. I won't stop fighting, man, until I'm...
Good morning, and welcome to the 19th. 19th, yes, the 19th edition of the Breakfast Ball. I'm your host, Bob Cardia, and to my left and to your right, the dashing Richie Stoltz. So, if you like what we're doing, please, by all means, please subscribe. And we do have our online store if you want to buy some Breakfast Ball merchandise. I know the store, the way it works, I think it's up for 2 weeks, then down for a week so they can put out your orders. And then it goes back up again. So if you're on there, I know I've had a couple people say, hey, they went on to put an order in and it wasn't up. Yeah, that's it. I think it's up to down one. So you just got to check back. Sorry for the inconvenience. Also, the South Jersey Golf School. Also, we have a store that works the same way. So, if you're interested, I was going to wear a hat today because I'm like an overgrown Monchichi. My hair doesn't get long; it gets big. So, but Richie said the no hat thing is my look. So
I was gonna go no hat today, but
you were?
No, I wasn't. My hair,
that's
that's crazy.
Wow. All right. Wow.
No,
all right.
I don't do that.
That would be like opposite day or whatnot.
Yeah.
But
although Amanda keeps yelling at me for wearing the hat, but that's all good. She's scared I'm gonna go bald. Is that true, by the way, guys? Put something in the comments.
Yeah.
If that's true, if you wear a hat too much, can you actually go bald? I don't know.
I don't know.
What?
I was going to say something, but it was thoroughly inappropriate, so I'm not going there.
Thank you, Bob.
You're welcome. Something that my friend Brian Foster told me a while ago, and I'm going to, Brian, if you're watching this, you know what it is. Okay.
Just hold that one inside.
Yes. It's a kid's show, right? No, not really, but anyway, with that said, so today we're going to talk about a little bit about focus. Actually, the end game is going to be how to foster, your kids to stay focused in it could be academics, but for us it's sports because this is a sports performance psychology type of thing. But it can work for anything. We talk about effort all the time, and we say, it's not about being perfect. It's about your effort. And when you bring your effort every single day, that's where transformation happens. That's where change occurs. Agreed. But if you're taking your kids and you're like, I have friends, and their kids have done reasonably well. But like, I think about like Todd Marinovich. You're probably too young for Todd Marinovich, but it's this kid was in Sports Illustrated. He was like, I think USC he went to. He was a quarterback, and like the article was like his parents never let him eat McDonald's. They never let him like savor friends' houses. They had ruled an iron fist, and the kid like grew up like Ivan Drago in Rocky IV. Like he was constantly just his life was scripted, and then once he got out of his parents' control, I think he was drafted by the Oakland Raiders, he went nuts. Drugs and all the stuff that goes with it, and his life crashed and burned. Legal trouble and all that kind of stuff. I've seen that a lot, actually, or a parent that pushes their kids so hard, and then the second they go to college, they quit sports.
I've seen that a couple times.
Yeah,
I've seen that a couple times.
Yeah, because that's right. So, Tony Robbins says, focus goes where, attention flows?
Focus goes where attention flows.
Or if attention flows. Yeah, that's, Richie got it right. So, but yeah, that's true. I mean, you want your kids to focus on good things. You want to focus on being the best they can be. So, how do we get there? Well, we had Dr. Waleska Batista on last week, and she talked about love languages, which is really big right now. There's a lot of books actually one specific book about that. But I found that to be true. Actually, I'm working with a young man right now. His name's Fran. I call him Fantastic. He has that kind of thing. Like whether he has a lesson or doesn't have a lesson, he comes up to my teaching stall and he's like, "Coach, I'm here." Like just to be like counted and present with a big smile. That kid loves being there, which, and talking to Wally and talking to the parents, and in my own life, we're going to talk about our own personal experience too, of how you create that balance between getting your kid to be focused and getting your kid to be self-motivated.
I'm so jealous of him, by the way.
Why?
Franny.
Yeah.
He's got the best hair in South Jersey.
He does.
It's not fair. He's got to get a haircut.
He's got great hair.
He's got to get a haircut.
He's got great hair.
I'm jealous.
Yeah. And you know what? He was wearing a Philadelphia Eagles hat each week.
Well, that's just upsetting.
I know, it is upsetting, right? I know. So I, last week and yesterday, he came in wearing a Titleist hat, and I almost broke down. It's beautiful. Yes. Studies show if you wear a New York's, Rich, if you wear a New York sports hat, you do better. I'm just saying.
Study shows if you're a Dallas Cowboys fan, you're a better golfer.
You know, what happens is if you're a Dallas Cowboys fan, you just always choke in the end. It's terrible. Anyway, the fun we have here. Anyway, so I guess why don't we start with you? Like, so you told me how you transitioned from like Little League baseball into golf. So like, I think that completely reinforces my love language theory on, creating an interest for the sport, but also nurturing your love for the game. So why don't you talk about that?
I played baseball pretty much my whole life. Mm-hmm. And like golf was just kind of like a side thing. My stepdad got me into golf, and we would go out to Running Deer. We were members at Running Deer. We would go there and play on Sundays and stuff like that. And we were also before then at Woodbury. I don't know if you remember Woodbury.
Yeah, I played Woodbury.
Yeah, we
Shame.
we were members there too. I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Nice
with buildings.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, terrible. I know.
But anyway, we were members over there, so we would play there, and I'd go into camps and stuff like that. But it was just like for fun. I didn't really care for golf that much. I was more of a baseball guy. Mm-hmm. I always felt in baseball, like the coaches would always push towards someone's son that they know.
Yeah, or politics. I was president of Little League Baseball for years.
Yeah, the politics of baseball. I hated it. Absolutely hated it. And I'll never tell you I was some crazy superstar in baseball. But I was pretty good.
Yeah, well, I mean, my experience with you, every sport you try, you're athletic.
Yeah, I'm just saying. I mean, my team almost made it to the championship every year.
Yeah.
So whether that had something to do with
like
me or not,
the Cowboys. Yeah. They almost make the championship every year.
No, we did. I was in the championship. I think almost every year I played baseball.
I'm sure you were.
Anyway, I got aggravated, and I tried out for a team the one year, and I missed the cut to one of the coach's sons. The kid's dad coached, Little League in the kid's entire life, and I lost the tryout spot to him when he struck out on a coach pitch. Mm. This is going into high school. Oh, struck out on a coach pitch, dropped numerous pop flies, and I probably had the best tryout I could have had. Yeah. And I was just like, I don't know what else you want from me to make this team. I mean,
you know what's funny? I this you reminded me of a story. So when I was not the president of Little League Baseball and I was not on the board, one of our board members had tryouts for the travel team, and he set up all these different stations on the field. And the head coach, who I know well, he's a nice guy, well-intended, but he was over by the backstop and he's talking to all the moms, right? And the tryout's going on behind him. 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes go by, and he never turns around to look at the tryouts. So finally, somebody asked him or something. I was standing there like, are you going to watch the tryouts? He's like, yeah, I'll get to it. He never watched the tryout. And then so I'm sitting there, and I go out to one of the guys I know who's running one of the stations. I'm like, do you have any of the kids' names? Are you scoring this all? He's like, nah, we're just running them through the tryouts. And everybody knew that. So this guy who coached the travel team for a couple of years, it came up the following year because you had a vote on the travel coach every year. They voted, and he didn't get the team. And he actually, an adult, good solid guy, was welling up with tears. He didn't get it. You can't, perception and presentation is everything. You cannot, fake tryouts and because parents know. So, and then the kids know. The kids all know. Well, why bother? Because I can't make this team because it's all politics. But anyway, back to you.
Yeah, no. So, I thought about switching over to golf in high school, but I still want to play baseball. To this point, I've dedicated my whole life pretty much to baseball. Mm-hmm. So I went to the baseball meeting and I talked to the coach and I was like, hey, is there any chance I can play baseball and golf? I wanted to be a 2-sport athlete in the fall or in the spring. Right. And he goes, oh, don't worry. We'll get to that at some point in the meeting. I'm like, okay, cool, awesome. So, in my mind, I'm sitting there going through the baseball meeting thinking he's going to let me play golf and baseball. Yeah. And then right at the end of the meeting, he one more thing. If you're thinking of playing, multiple sports, I would get up out of this room and just leave now, something like that. And I was just like, well, clearly this guy hates me.
Yeah.
So I'm out of here. I'm done.
You should have told you before you went to the meeting.
Yeah, well, that's
Rather than
what
making an example out of you.
So I was like,
Class.
okay, I'm done. I'm out of here. And I left. And that was, by the way, the same coach that held the tryout the year prior. So clearly this coach did not like me for whatever reason. So I switched to golf, and golf was completely different coaching-wise. And this is one thing I loved about Cobb and I loved about playing for you.
Yeah, John Cobb.
Is, yes, there was only one thing that mattered for you to make the starting roster. What is that?
You had to put up the numbers.
You had to put up the numbers. It was your score.
So
If-
my philosophy was if and it's not the only thing. Your grades had to be there, okay, because obviously you had to be eligible. You had to show up for all the meetings and all the extracurricular stuff that we do on time, and you had to put up the numbers. If you do those things, guess what? I don't even have to like you. Okay, you're going to play.
Yeah. So that's what I liked about it is, you know, I went to Cobb, started on the team, and, you know, sure enough, as my numbers lowered, now he might not have played you in the spot where you were. So, like, if you were the 5 guy, sometimes he would even put you as the number 2 guy. Like, it was just, you know, flip-flopped on who he thought you'd play best with in the high school matches.
sure.
But if you were in the top 6, you were in the top 6. It didn't matter. So, like, I think I started off as, like, the 5 guy, and I played as the number 4 guy, and then I dropped down to the 4 guy, and then I dropped to the 3 guy, but I always ended up playing as the number 4 guy.
Yeah.
But it was, you know, no matter what, my numbers, and it showed even at the end of the year, I was the only freshman on a team full of seniors. And, you know, obviously people wanted the seniors to play. They have the more experience. But towards the end of the year when I dropped to that number 4, number 3 guy, that's when I started getting in the tournaments. It was like, okay, you're in.
Yeah.
You know, you just beat the number 4 guy.
Yep.
You know, now you're number 3.
Yep.
You're into this tournament no matter what.
Yeah.
So,
Merit-based.
you know, it was all that mattered was your score. If you played well, you're in. You know, there was no, oh, well, I know this kid's dad.
Yeah.
It's like, no. No,
And
he
there's
didn't care.
there's some degree of that in high school golf, unfortunately. You know,
Well, I'm sure there is with some teams,
Yeah.
for sure, but
but not with
Cobb
and
specifically,
John Cobb,
there was not.
John Cobb, who's a friend of mine and Richie's high school coach, played for my father at Rutgers years ago. My father coached in the 80s, and Cobb and my dad had a great relationship, and John and I have a great relationship. It's you know, fostering, you know, the belief that, you know, your merit bases your achievement is awesome. And also fostering a love for the game, because that created like a love for what you're doing, right? Knowing that the harder you work, the more you could achieve.
Yeah, it did. It made me want to focus more on golf
Yep.
because I knew if I played better,
Yep.
no matter what, again, he could hate me.
Yep.
If I played better, I was going to move up in the, you know, in my spot.
Yeah,
And that's all I cared about.
And people like you and the Zachs and the Qs and a lot of the great players that we work with, you know, that's what they love about the sport, is the fact that, you know, although it's a team sport, it's also an individual sport, and, you know, there's really not a lot of, you know, BS about the numbers that you shoot. So, unless you cheat, which...
Don't cheat, guys.
Yeah,
Don't
in high
cheat.
school golf, that, you know, it's like... I can tell you in you know, decades of coaching college golf, about 5 kids were ever as good as they said they were coming into college. I mean, they just don't, you know. Fortunately, I make you play by the rules, and like I typically watch the groups, and if you don't follow the rules, then I crack down on you. Anyway, with that said, so that's the one way, and that's for the kid that has that natural motor. But the other one is like Alec, A-Rod, and Fran, like when you talk to their parents foster a love for the game. It's you know, it's the one thing that their parents and them do together, that like there's not judgment, like they just, you know, son, you know, there's you know, it's not you're great. It's like, hey, let's get better. Boys, is great. We love this, and they foster it that way. You walk a fine line as a parent, because I think every parent, not every parent, but most parents, want their kids to be better than they were. And I mean, I know for my kids, absolutely, I want them, you know, to have more life than I have. So, and it's, you walk that fine line, you know, pushing. But at the end of the day, if you can create a love for the sport and a love for getting better, you know, as opposed to being, you know, critical, I think that is what we've seen as a mix to get your kid to focus. that's what I've seen. I'll tell you my personal little ditty. So my dad coached every sport that I had, and we did well. I mean, we won like 5 championships in 7 years of football, and we did lots of winning. But my dad had his doctorate in education, but he was also a golf instructor. And we are the oldest golf school in New Jersey. And I came into high school to a good program with my dad as the owner and founder of the South Jersey Golf Schools. And I probably self-imposed pressure. I put a lot of pressure on myself. And did well. I mean, I made the team. By the time I was a senior, I was team captain. And, we made it to a few state finals, and I went to college. And we won a conference championship my first year in college. But I always had that little additional pressure, thinking like I should have been the number one player. And although I put in good teams and I always was a starter, I was too hard on myself. So once I transferred to Towson, I took probably a year and a half off of golf. I did. Before I walked back on that team, after a year and a half, I took time to decompress. And my dad never pushed and never judged me on that. And I think one of the reasons I came back to golf after that was he had fostered enough love for the game without pushing me hard enough where, he showed any disappointment that I had taken time off. I think, there's a good parenting lesson to be learned in there. The fine line of the love language of support and fostering you to try to be better without pushing the kid over the ledge.
Yeah, over at Tavistock there was a parent, and everyone knows it, so hopefully he's not watching. But
we don't mention names here, folks.
We don't. But he pushed his one kid almost to the extreme, to where he didn't even, you can see it on his face. He didn't even like playing golf. Like they had the the drive, chip, and putt over at Tavistock, just like a fun one, not like the legitimate one, but for fun. And they came, I think, the day before I was working, and the dad walked straight up to me and goes, "We're getting ready for this thing tomorrow. We're going to win it all, blah, 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 blah." And you see the kid with his head down walking with his golf bag, and, I'm sitting there thinking, like, this is a fun event for the kids.
Yes.
This isn't a serious event. This is like, let's get all the kids together. Let's let them hit a couple drives, a couple chips, a couple putts. We score it for fun.
The kid didn't have cigarette burns on his forearm, did he?
Well, I don't know. I didn't look, but maybe I should next time.
It's so bad.
No, but even, a couple months later, I remember, because this is when I said something to him, he was in the bunker with his kid. And I think I had to go do something, but I heard him yell at one point. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to shut this down and tell him he's got to, almost like calm down a little bit. But, yelling at his kid for hitting a bad bunker shot. And I drive over, and he goes, "Hey, Richie, how's it going?" I'm like, "Hey, I see you struggling out of the bunker. Can I help him?" And he goes, "Oh, I would love that, blah, 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 blah." And so I help him out for a couple swings, and he hits this good bunker shot. And you see the dad throw his hands up like, "See, there we go, finally," stuff like that. And I said to the dad after, I was like, do him a favor. Don't, because I see this all the time, especially with, parents over when I worked at Tavistock, is when the parent tries to teach the kid, it never works. Yeah. It never, ever, ever works.
Especially when the parent isn't really, I always kid around like this. The reason why they're, golf is a very interesting, fascinating sport where it's the only thing that I really have experienced in my life where people who aren't very good at it feel the need to teach others. That's why there's so many bad golfers in the world. Like I can't even tell you. Like it'd be the equivalent of like you said, "Hey Bob, my car is making this awful noise." I'm like, Richie, you know what I do? I turn up the radio. That's what, like,
that's what I do too.
A great idea. Yeah. But anyway.
No, but that was, I told him, I was like, get him instruction from one of the pros here. Don't try and teach him yourself, because you can see he gets aggravated. You get aggravated. Yeah. He doesn't even look like he wants to be here anymore. Yeah. And he's like, "Oh, I just want him to get better, blah, blah." I get that. But when you do it this way, when you try and teach him yourself, one, he's not going to listen, because the kids don't want to listen to their parents. And two, you're both just going to get frustrated.
Yep.
You're going to leave here, you're going to get mad, you're going to, it's going to be a quiet car ride home, even though they live right down the street. But it's going to be a quiet, minute car ride home, and, you're going to get in the house, mom's going to say how to go, and kid's going to walk straight up to his room and not say anything.
Yep.
Because
And he's
he's
gonna quit.
aggravated.
Yeah.
He's definitely going to quit.
Yep.
And sure enough, I think that kid really, the last year I was there, he almost stopped playing for the most part.
Yep.
It was...
It's funny. Some of the biggest, oh God, it's terrible. Is it like the partiers, the kids that like went crazy, like, into high school, into college, like were parents that pushed them hard, and also gave them everything.
Mm-hmm.
Like the kid, that came out for baseball that had the newest $500 bat, and parents were yelling at them and pushing them. Those kids typically, like, they were the kids that ended up, hey, there's a kegger over at somebody's house, like that's that. Again, not every case. I mean, again, parents have, again, I'm no different. My parents are no different. You want better for your kids, but it is, you want to create, and I tell this to my parents all the time, you want to make sure that your kids love what they're doing, right? And if they love what they're doing, right, and not every day is going to be a good day. It's not going to be every day, hey, I can't wait to get out there. It's not going to be like that. But you want to create a situation where there's some self-accountability and love for the sport. So maybe set goals, right? Create expectations. Tell them, what if they want to be good at it, what they have to do, but also make it fun.
I was going to say that.
Yeah.
Make it fun.
Yeah.
That's one thing my dad used to do really well when it came to baseball and golf.
Mm-hmm.
Is, we would go out there and, do you want to, he would say, do you want to practice your chipping? I'll catch it for you.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously I don't necessarily recommend parents do that, but that was my dad is, we're going to play
They
a
had a
game.
dental,
Don't.
had a dental plan on that.
Please. Never mind.
Yeah.
Do you know where I was going to go?
Yeah. I know exactly where you're going with
But
He's never been the same.
but that was what we would do is, he would let me hit chip shots to him. Just fun stuff like that, different things that he would do.
Yep.
Baseball, he would always want to, go out and have a catch. So he would do something fun out there to have a catch. Hey, do you want to pitch to me? I'll get down and let you pitch to me.
Yep.
And he would just do stuff like that where it's like, okay, this is a lot of fun. I like doing this.
Yeah.
And that's
it's
one of the
father-son time
Yeah.
that it's irreplaceable. No, I completely, I get that and completely down with that. Yeah, no, so that's, that's the fine line, I guess. That you want to, create love for the sport and also, put expectation. It's a fine line to walk. I know it. You want your kid to focus for sure. Focus quotes. So what well, we did a short on this one not too long ago, but the Alexander Graham Bell said something to the effect about focusing that the sun can burn through paper, but only if it's concentrated in a certain way, like using a magnifying glass. And if you can get your kid to have that laser-like focus, that's you're doing something. You're doing something right, for sure. Anyway, that's I think it's a great topic. Oh, you know what? Before we go, because I know we're pushing up against the limit here, but when I talk about this kind of stuff, and people always talk about the greatest player of all time, I still go Jack. Jack Nicklaus. The majors and then the 17 or 18 runner-ups. I think Tiger would have been and was the best player of the past quarter century for sure. I think he would have been the best, but his dad, when you read about him, banging the pots and pans and really stern and da-da-da-da-da-da. And, when his dad kind of went away, see how that life went. He had to do some own, and, more power to him. It looks like he's battled back and but it might be too late now this time in his career with all the injuries and all that kind of stuff. But, think about that. A lot of people use that as a template for, training their kids. And rightfully so with the talent and the love he created for it. But, when you're too hard on somebody, sometimes, a switch will be thrown when that happens. So, keep that in mind also. So, foster love for the game, try to keep them focused, set realistic expectations, and make sure it's fun. Yeah. So that's our public service announcement today. Okay. So if you like what we're doing, click on the subscribe button. Do you have anything else you want to throw in there?
No.
Okay. Well, I'm Bob Cardia, and this is
The Dashing Richie Stoltz.
The Dashing Richie Stoltz. So we'll see you next week. Next week will be what, episode 20?
Episode 20.
Wow, yeah. We'll have a guest next week, but it'll be a surprise. Anyway, guys, be good, stay out of trouble, and
When you're rich and famous.
when you're rich and famous, we get 10%.
That's your saying, Bob. How
I know. Yeah, we need a tagline of some kind. Yes, okay. So I say it to everybody, by the way. And I don't specify golf, by the way. So if you're, if I helped you in some way and you're rich and famous, 10% would
Anything.
be
Even
nice.
if you're just rich and famous now and you watch the video,
We're the lottery, anything. We're not Peggy. Okay. All right. God bless.
Glass of bourbon, ha ha. My bourbon, ha ha. My bourbon, ha ha. Alcohol, because no great story ever started with I'll have a salad.